Hey, Cash Course fans! Before we start the show, remember that you can get hundreds of free educational videos for all ages at PragerUkids.com. Subscribe today and never miss an episode.
Bro, what are you doing?
Counting yen.
Yen? What is a yen?
It's the currency of Japan, the country we're going to.
Wait a second, you're telling me that you need different money to go to Japan?
Yeah, I thought everyone knew that.
Well, that's just great. Because I guess now I don't have any time
Attention, please. Air Auto Flight 1776 for Tokyo is now delayed.
Looks like you have time for another episode of...
Each country around the world has its own currency, which is used to purchase goods and services. For example, in Mexico, they use the peso. In Japan, they use the yen. And in the UK, they use the British pound. When people travel or trade internationally, they usually must exchange their money for the local currency to, say, take a taxi or eat at a restaurant.
So since we're going to Japan, I'm gonna need some Japanese yen.
Isn't that what I said earlier?
Exchanging currency like the peso for US dollars or the yen for British pounds is subject to an exchange rate. This is the difference in value when you exchange one currency for another, and it fluctuates constantly due to forces of supply and demand, which can be affected by a country's economic, financial, and political situation. Official exchange rates are set by the foreign exchange market, the global marketplace for trading one nation's currency for another. The Forex, as it's called, is an electronic network of traders that facilitates currency conversion for international trade and investments.
So, how do you do an exchange?
Let's say you're going to France.
Wait a second, I thought we're going to Japan.
We are. Just keep listening, will you?
This means you'll need to acquire euros, the currency used in France. If the exchange rate for US dollar to euro is 0.85, this means $1 equals 0.85 euros. So if you trade 1,000 US dollars, you'll get 850 euros in exchange. If, at the end of your trip, you have 100 euros remaining and the exchange rate is the same, exchanging it back to US dollars will leave you with $117.65.
Who are you calling?
Calling the yen store.
There's no such thing as a yen store.
What?
He's right. Places to exchange currencies include banks, ATMs, airport kiosks, hotels, tourist centers, and independent dealers. You should know, however, that the officially listed exchange rate is usually not the price you'll pay when exchanging at any of these locations. At most currency exchange dealers, two prices are usually listed for any exchange that's different from the official exchange rate. One is the price at which dealers are willing to buy a currency, and one is the price at which they're willing to sell. The difference between the two prices is called the spread, which is how the dealer makes a profit exchanging currencies.
Does my $1 here buy the same amount as in another country?
No.
Every currency is valued differently. Some are considered strong, and some are considered weak when compared to other currencies. This can affect what can be purchased with the same amount of money in another country in the local currency. This is called purchasing power. For example, if $1 buys a cup of coffee in the United States, that same dollar may buy 2 cups in China or half a cup in Switzerland. In this case, the dollar is stronger and has more purchasing power in China, while it's weaker and has less purchasing power in Switzerland. The relative strength or weakness of a country's currency doesn't just impact travelers, but also international trade and investments, the country's standard of living, and the cost of everyday items that people depend on, like food and energy.
Attention, please. Now that you know more about exchanging currencies, let's take action.
First, experiment. Find a friend who owns some foreign currency and try to trade a small amount with him or her at the current exchange rate. The next day or week, try the trade again at the new current exchange rate and observe how the results differ. Second, compare. It can be fun to see the purchasing power of your money in different countries. For example, the Big Mac Index lists how much it would cost in US dollars to purchase a Big Mac in other countries. Some charts compare other items like coffee and soda. Third, shop around. If you're planning to travel internationally, check the exchange rate of the US dollar and the currency of the country you are visiting. Different places will have different spreads, so try to find the best deal. Check with your bank first, which will often have a more favorable rate than other places. Knowing how foreign exchange works can increase your understanding of how currencies work within the global economy. It will also make you a more savvy spender by maximizing your purchasing power when traveling abroad.
Want to do an exchange?
Sure.
Attention! Air Auto Flight 1776 is now boarding for service to Japan.
Wait a second.
Please report to gate F5 immediately.
Wait a second, this isn't what that kiosk was offering.
Exchange rookie.
Wait a second, where are you going?
Watch more at PragerUkids.com. And parents, don't forget to subscribe.